Party people, it's your boy Voltron with an AMP video. So I had a viewer today leave a comment about what makes the AMP token better than BoltPay. So if you've been watching the channel, then you know already I'm not a big fan of tribalism. I don't believe tribalism is the best way for a project to move forward. I know we see it rampant in the meme coins, but I don't think overall that's a good thing, because when you get into these wars between my company versus your company, only thing wars are good for are casualties. So I try to avoid the tribalism in the projects, because I believe that Web3 is big enough for multiple companies to work in the same area, and that's good because it promotes competition, it promotes innovation, it keeps everything moving forward. One company starts to dominate the entire field, it's no different than Web 2, it goes centralized. So the reality is, we can't really say if one company is better than the other. What we could discuss is what are the differences. So we know that they share something in common, and that is that they can both be used as part of a POS system, point of sales, and companies like that. The differences, I believe, are that the AMP token can be used for other things. For example, it can be used as collateral. So let's say you digitize an asset. Now you can collateralize it to make sure it goes from point A to point B with no issues. The second thing is that the AMP token can be used as guaranteed against fraud, which I don't know if Bolt does as well. So let's say there was some fraud that occurred. The merchant, just wants to get paid. They don't want to have to deal with fixing the issues, and then AMP token comes in and says, okay, we'll act as collateral. If something went wrong and there was fraud, we've got you covered. So it has that insurance aspect. And that's, that's going to be quite appealing to a lot of these companies that are in Web 2, a lot of these retail companies, because they don't want to deal with Web 3. They're afraid of Web 3, many of them, because they know that there's a lot of fraud, because there's still that Wild West component. And this could ease their minds and allow retail companies to start accepting crypto as a form of payment. The other thing that I like about the AMP token, the AMP Foundation, Flexa Network, is that they are working on compliance. The SEC is starting to come on really strong. They're going after a lot of people. They've gone after movie stars, they've gone after XRP. They mentioned Flexa Network, the AMP token, they called it a security. They're going now after the Bored Ape people, Yaga Labs or something like that. They're going after those guys as well. They're like, hey, we're looking at you guys. So we're starting to see that our government is starting to get big on enforcement. They just sent out a whole bunch of IRS agents to go after the people. Well, they hired a lot of IRS agents, which basically means the government's strapped for money, they're looking for money, and they're just finding ways to bring money, and enforcement seems to be an avenue for the government. Nice thing with Flexa Network is they are compliant. So regardless of what happens, ultimately the SEC is going to say, hey, we know that Flexa Network is doing everything correctly. They've asked us multiple times, what do we need to do to stay compliant? And I don't know how many other companies are doing that. We see a lot of companies that just pop on the scene, have done no paperwork with regards to being compliant, and when ultimately the government decides, hey, we need you guys to be compliant, we're going to see issues with companies that didn't do it already. So anyway, there are some differences, but again, both companies can exist. It's a big world. Web3 is huge. So until next time, guys, peace out, safe investing.